Thank you. Yes, quite challenging question. Well, 2 points. First of all, what we can do is well to continue to be in a way front runner in the fair energy transition. Just to give you some figures, last year in France, the number of renovation in the homeowner sector has decreased by 10%, and this despite the fact that they have minimum energy performance standard in place. And actually, there's no really correlation between any sort of public policy and the results in terms of renovation. So despite that, the level of renovation in the socializing sector has quite well resisted, has been at the same level as the trend before 2019. So what we can do is to continue to bring a good level of renovation every year so that the average primary energy use in the building sector can continue to decrease. And second point, how we can do that is not only about launching procurement and hoping to have companies able to provide good offers in terms of affordability. It's also looking at what we call the district approach, looking at other stakeholders in the discussion. The private homeowners are one of them, local authorities, because fundamentally, as I said also before, we need to look for the most tangible things for people. And the most tangible things are usually about renovating their neighborhoods, making particularly deprived neighborhoods. And so we will continue to have this approach of looking at different dimensions, because we see that this is usually the one that creates the greatest social acceptance and the greatest outcomes. So we'll continue to do that, hopefully.
Thank you. And over to the...
From the consumer perspective, I would say perhaps we mentioned quite a few times information and awareness. That needs to be tackled properly, because I don't think people need to be reminded that there is an energy crisis, that they need to act, that they can access grants. They know grants are somewhere available, but they need to be helped reaching those grants. Perhaps in terms of information and awareness, one aspect would be to explain homeowners that they have a role to play, not only as decision makers, but also checking how the works are going with the companies, playing their role of authority somehow. And they need to be helped being aware of that and understanding what they need to, the role they need to play. So perhaps here, building on the mirroring aspects I mentioned for the one-stop shops, it's mirroring the role of the homeowners in the full process, and how they need to interact with the different stakeholders, being at the technical or financial level. And that's when you can have homeowners confident enough in their own capacities, and where you can build trust towards the other stakeholders.
Thank you. And over to Noelani.
Hi. Thank you again for this lovely group today as well. Just before we go, I think it's important to just reiterate the importance of public trust. And if you have a well-designed program, I know that in Belgium you can, let's say there's 3 or 4 families living in a worse performing building, which they might actually want to live in because it's charming and, right here in Brussels, and it's cute because it is old and they want the high ceilings and things like that. But they realize, okay, well, let's renovate the outside. You need internal motivation from someone in those apartments. You think of where you all live, wherever you're from. I mean, you can't expect a single alcoholic mother upstairs, a family that's transitioning their jobs because of COVID and their business closed, a doctor who owns the bottom floor there's a tenant in there, and some EU Commission guy who owns the 3rd floor, and everyone's supposed to get together and sit there and say, let's raise 20,000 euros and fix the facade. So you can already see just right from the local moment, it's mind-boggling, and I'm sure you know that your neighbors have something going on that's similarly difficult. So all around us, we need to really ground ourselves and ask, what would it take to start those conversations? if the member state or the local authority can have a financing program where everyone can apply for the funding for that renovation in a private way, so they don't have to tell their neighbors, oh, I only make this much, or I don't have a job, then at least everyone can get different tiers of funding, and maybe collectively it can come together and we can move that process forward. But again, it's all about motivation, and I think the one-stop shop and the energy caravan program I was explaining is about really showing from the mayors, seek out your mayors, so that they can reach out to their citizens who have that trust there and start that renovation and get those renovation rates exploding. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And my turn. No, very much in line with that. As I said, the directive will be a starting point, introducing the one-stop shop as a first element of discussion, and there will be a number of further communication, maybe with the EU peers, and the number of projects that we follow, also a number of examples and so on. But if you wait for concrete definition, precise definition of what you should do, then you could wait forever. So don't wait, start now. Propose your own definition, propose your own initiative, start maybe small, then expand, learn by doing, and share with others, so we can collectively learn what it means. And there will be support for it, actually. Thank you. Valentina, please.
Yeah, in line with what Christophe was saying, I do think that in GNE's case, we are truly committed to energy efficiency renovation and into improving the renovation rates, and we go to the ground to real projects. We assist on a local level in Spain both public and private actors on implementing one-stop shops and what it's being called in Spain agentes rehabilitadores. That it's pretty much like a one-stop shop but being implemented by private actors. So we go into the ground. We are not waiting for the definitions to come. We are testing, we are learning in the ground, and we are seeing what works, what not, what needs to be improved. And yeah, how we can start improving the renovation rates. It's difficult not to lose the faith because it's a difficult journey. Sometimes are more the downs than the ups, but it is in our DNA, and we're still committed to that. And from a financial point of view, we still provide an advising and advisory service for mainly public authorities on how to implement innovative financing solutions, such as the on-tax financing scheme that has been implemented on the Fit Home project in the Netherlands, or the guarantee funds that have been tried to be implemented in Spain. We haven't been successful there, but we're still there, and we're committed to keep helping there.
Thank you. Spiros, please.
Yes, I mean, so many interesting things, and I think it's a good thing that we all seem to be on rather the same page today here. So from our point of view, it's very important that, as I mentioned earlier, that we continue to insist on making all this much more accessible to people. One-stop shops are a very important tool, and I agree that we still need to do some work on defining what we mean exactly with them, but they are a tool that should in its core have the local aspect. It should go to people and give them the options, show them the possibilities on how they can improve the places where they live, or sometimes where they work and live. And so that's one part, and the other part is, and I'm sorry to insist on this, but it's the financing. Julien mentioned earlier that we have a reduction of 10% of renovations in France. I think it's also linked to the fact that MaPrimeRénov', which is the subsidy in France, is almost running out. the subsidy system. So these are all elements that we cannot overlook. We can have very interesting discussions about how we want to shape things, but it's very, very important that if we have decided that we have a renovation wave strategy, we have new legislation that is going to lead to better energy efficiency, which, by the way, let's remind ourselves that it's almost 40% of the energy consumed in Europe. It's not peanuts. It's very important to continue to put the means, whatever that means exactly, to arrive there.
Great, thank you. And finally, Natasha.
Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed. So I could echo many of the points that were just said, in particular points raised by Spiros. I would just like to say that a couple of years ago at UAPI, we conducted a large-scale survey on the property owners' willingness to renovate. Around 11,000 participants, out of which a large majority actually said that they would indeed like to proceed with some type of renovations, and that they had an understanding of the benefits that could bring. So of course, when there is a will, there is a way, but in this particular context, we need to ensure that there are the right and the appropriate means and tools in order to meet the ambitions that are put in front of us as property owners. And in that regard, of course, one-stop shops can play a crucial role, can be a key enablers in this endeavor. So we have to ensure that their development is indeed, as was mentioned, spread out as much as possible and can provide this guidance that is really, really needed in order to accomplish these goals. So thank you.